Welcome. In front of me is a Nokia C32, and today I'll show you an unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. There we go. Nothing really in here. I'll get some information, which I'm gonna go over in a second. Get the device. Actually, it looks pretty nice at the back. Turn it on. Gonna set it to the side for the moment. Here we just got a SIM eject tool, so I'm gonna yeet that to the side. Then we get our paperwork, Type-C charging cable to Type-A, and a charger, which is a surprise nowadays. And this is a 10-watt charger. Bit disappointing, but still better than not getting anything. And considering this device costs about $300 US, this is actually still pretty nice to have a charger included in the box. So anyway, now let's go over the specs. So we're gonna start off with the display, which you can obviously now see. This is a 720 by 1600 pixel display. It's a 6.5 inches LCD IPS display, 81.6% screen to body ratio with 270 pixels per inch. So nothing really super special here, to be completely honest. Now, when it comes down to the cameras out at the back, we are looking at the main sensor being a 50 megapixel wide and then a 2 megapixel macro, which just kind of is absolutely useless and will get outperformed by the 50 megapixel one anyway. Now at the front, we have an 8 megapixel sensor, and with the back one you can shoot a video with at resolution of 1080p at 30 frames, and on the front it doesn't really state. Now when it comes down to the internals, we are looking at a battery capacity of 5000 milliamp hours, and in terms of the processor, it's the Unisec SC9863A1, whatever the heck that is, to be honest. I have no clue, but it's an quad core. No, it's an octa-core. 4 cores are at 1.6 gigahertz, and then we have some Cortex A53 and another 4 cores at 1.2 gigahertz. So there we go. Now we have 3 or 4 gigabytes of RAM, regardless of what bullshit we get on the box, saying that we have 7 gigs of RAM. That's absolute horseshit. The reason that is so is because what Nokia probably did here is decided to extend, put a massive asterisk right here, extending, using the storage of the device, which we do have at the very minimum 64 gigabytes of storage with 3 gigs of RAM, and at the very highest end we have 128 gigs of storage with 4 gigs of RAM. The one between would be 64 with 4. Anyway, that being said, let's just pop out the tray, which not with this, that's a little bit too chunky. This one maybe? Yep. And we do have expandable storage along with dual SIM support, so that's pretty nice. So you could go for the lower one. Just keep in mind, like I mentioned, the asterisk of RAM. It says 7 on the box, which will also imply for the lowest model, which has 3 gigs of RAM, that it has 7. Which is, like I mentioned, just a BS, because what it does is uses the phone storage as RAM. That's not really how you do it, otherwise people would have terabytes of RAM on their computer. But as no one does this on the computer scene, there is a reason for that. And the reason would be that even an NVMe SSD as RAM will be freakishly slow compared to the actual RAM that is designed to store quickly accessible data. Unlike SSDs, which just store data. This is more of a short-term storage in terms of like RAM, how it works. So yeah, storage of the phone, obviously this will be absolutely terrible, and I don't really classify this as RAM, neither should you. And I would probably recommend turning that off and going for the 4 gigabytes of RAM instead of the 3, just because you get that extra 1 gigabyte of RAM, of actual RAM. So there we go. Now, there's not much more to say about this. It's a Nokia device. Honestly, it comes a little bit too expensive, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna quickly go over this with a objective point of view. The benefit right here is you get stock Android, but you don't get the stock Android and benefits of the stock Android like Pixels do, because Pixels have their own like Pixel unique things. You get the stock Android and nothing extra, which for some people that is what they want and all they need. But personally, for $315 I would probably think about picking up another device. Primarily I would be looking myself, just pointing that out, for something like a Xiaomi, just because they tend to have, especially the Poco lineup, has some fantastic devices for really good price. And at $300 I think you might be able to get the F3 or F5 was it? Let me quickly check. So Poco F5. Okay, a little bit more expensive at $383. But believe me when I say that $383 will give you a heck a lot more phone for the money. And we're probably talking about like double the performance, probably more than double. The Poco runs on a Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 compared to the Unisec budget processor that this comes with, and it obviously has better components in every single way. So I would probably recommend, if you can afford it, go for the little bit more expensive device. I do understand that it is about like $70 more, but I want to stress it out saying that it's a upgrade well worth the money. So that's what I would be going for. Or if you want to stick with this kind of budget, then again, Poco does have cheaper devices, a little bit older ones, which will actually come significantly cheaper than this at certain, if you go for like a couple-year-old one, while still being more powerful than this. I don't know what Xiaomi was thinking when creating the Poco lineup, considering it's actually really good. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend this device if you have the choice. Now anyway, with this being said, hopefully you found this very helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.